What if the perfect criminal never needed a mask, never touched the crime scene, and never even existed? Tonight, we expose real cases where artificial intelligence became the mind behind crimes that shattered lives. This is not the future, it's happening now. Chapter 1. The silent rise of AI crime. Imagine a criminal who doesn't leave fingerprints, a thief who never steps into a bank, a voice on the phone that sounds like someone you love, but isn't real. This is the new face of crime, and it's not a person at all. In the last few years, artificial intelligence has moved from science fiction into everyday life. We use it without thinking, to write emails, to translate languages, to edit photos, even to recommend what video to watch next. But the same tools that make our lives easier can be turned into weapons. And in the wrong hands, AI doesn't just copy human behavior, it can improve it, learn from mistakes, and work faster than any human criminal ever could. It started quietly, small scams, experimental tools, but as AI became smarter, the crimes became bigger and more invisible. One of the first warning signs came from right here in Canada. A small manufacturing business in Ontario received an urgent call from their company's CEO. His voice was clear, familiar, and direct. He needed $30,000 wired immediately to close a deal overseas. There was no time for questions. The employee on the other end trusted the voice completely. After all, they'd spoken to the CEO countless times. The money was sent within minutes, and it was gone within hours. When the real CEO returned to the office later that day, he was shocked. He never made the call. He never asked for the transfer. What happened? The voice was fake. It had been cloned by artificial intelligence using just a few seconds of audio taken from a public event recording. This is what makes AI crime so dangerous. The criminal doesn't need to break into a building. They don't need to steal your wallet. They only need a sliver of your online presence, a short video, a podcast clip, even a voicemail. From that, they can create a perfect copy of your voice. And that voice can be used to trick your family, your friends, your co-workers, even you. When police investigated the Ontario case, they found no fingerprints, no CCTV images, no suspects. The call came from an untraceable number, routed through multiple countries. The voice was flawless, not a robotic imitation, but a perfect match. This is the silent rise of AI crime. A wave of criminal activity that hides in plain sight, invisible to the human eye, unstoppable by old methods of investigation. For decades, we've been told to look for the signs of a scam, poor grammar in an email, unusual requests, or strange behavior. But AI changes the rules. It learns from every mistake. If an AI scam fails, it doesn't get discouraged. It studies why it failed. It rewrites the email in perfect language. It adjusts the tone to sound exactly like the person it's pretending to be. It tries again, over and over, until it works. And when it works, the damage is often permanent. Some experts believe we are entering what they call the trust crisis. It's not just about losing money. It's about losing certainty in the things we see and hear. Think about it. If you can't trust a voice on the phone, how can you trust a video, a photograph, or even a live conversation? AI blurs the line between truth and fabrication until they are indistinguishable. That's not a prediction for the future. It's happening now. In another Canadian case, a man received a call from his bank warning him about suspicious activity on his account. The caller spoke with authority, used the man's full name, and even mentioned recent transactions. All of it sounded legitimate. It wasn't until days later, after thousands of dollars vanished, that he learned the truth. The entire call was scripted and delivered by AI, reading information stolen from a hacked database. Why is this important? Because unlike a human scammer, AI doesn't make small mistakes that give it away. It doesn't forget details. It doesn't get nervous. And it can contact hundreds of people at the same time, with personalized messages, while a real criminal sits back and watches the money flow in. This is the reason law enforcement agencies are quietly sounding alarms. The traditional methods of identifying suspects are almost useless here. There's no face to recognize, no fingerprints to match, no handwriting to compare. The criminal is a program, and it can live on any computer anywhere in the world. Shut it down in one place, and it can be restarted in another, seconds later. But perhaps the most chilling part is this. AI doesn't just imitate human skills, it can surpass them. In the old days, a scammer had to be a good actor to convince you they were someone else. They had to study your habits, your voice, your personality. Now, AI can do all of that in minutes. It can scrape your social media for phrases you use, scan your photos to find people close to you, and listen to your videos to copy your tone. And once it has that data, it can create a version of you that even your closest friends couldn't tell apart from the real thing. This is where the story turns darker. The Ontario business scam was just one case. Across the world, similar incidents were happening. Many of them never reported to the public. Why? Because victims are embarrassed. Companies fear losing customer trust. And in some cases, they don't even realize they were scammed by AI. Some think they were tricked by a very skilled human. Others believe it was just a strange coincidence. But behind the scenes, these crimes are being connected like pieces of a puzzle. And that puzzle shows a pattern, one that experts fear will only grow. In this series, we'll follow that pattern. We'll uncover the cases where AI voices and faces were used to commit fraud, destroy reputations, and steal identities. And we'll see how the very technology designed to help humanity may be used to harm it in ways we are only beginning to understand. The rise has already happened. The question now is how far it will go. In the next chapter, you'll hear the story of a woman who answered the phone and heard her daughter crying for help, only to discover the voice wasn't real. And by the time she knew the truth, it was too late. Chapter 2. The voice that wasn't human. It began with a phone call. A woman in Vancouver was finishing dinner when her phone rang. The caller ID showed her daughter's number. She answered. On the other end, a voice trembled in fear. "Mom, please help me. They've got me. I don't know where I am." The words came between sobs. The sound of panic was so real it made her chest tighten. The mother's hands shook. She could hear muffled shouting in the background. A man's voice barked orders. Then her daughter cried again. "Please, do what they say." The man came on the line. His tone was sharp, urgent, and cold. "We have your daughter. If you want her back alive, you'll send $50,000. Now, this is called the kidnapping call scam. It's not new. Criminals have used it for years, pretending to have taken someone's loved one, demanding ransom before the victim has time to think. But this time, it was different. The voice wasn't just similar. It wasn't just close. It was her daughter's voice. Every tone, every breath, every tear sounded exactly like her. Her mind raced. She thought about the last time they spoke. She remembered her daughter's laugh earlier that week. This was the same voice. It couldn't be faked. So she followed the instructions. She went to the bank. She wired the money. Hours later, her daughter walked through the front door, safe, confused, completely unaware of what had happened. There had been no kidnapping. The voice on the phone was never real. It had been cloned using artificial intelligence. Here's how it works. A scammer finds a video or audio recording of a person, maybe from social media, maybe from a podcast, maybe from a school video project. With just a few seconds of clean sound, AI software can map the unique patterns of that voice, pitch, accent, breathing, even emotional tone. Once the AI has the pattern, it can make that voice say anything. This scam spread quickly in 2023. It started in the United States, then moved into Canada, targeting families and grandparents. Why grandparents? Because they're more likely to answer unknown calls and more likely to panic when they hear a loved one in trouble. Police in Alberta reported multiple cases within weeks. In some, the scammer claimed the victim's grandchild had been arrested and needed bail money. In others, it was an accident, a car crash, and they needed funds for medical care. Each time the voice was convincing. Each time the victim believed it. The Vancouver case was different only in the amount demanded. $50,000, transferred immediately to an untraceable account. By the time the bank flagged it as suspicious, the money was gone. No fingerprints, no faces, only a voice. Investigators say the danger of voice cloning isn't just in scams like this. It's in the emotional power of hearing a familiar voice. Humans are trained from birth to recognize and trust certain voices. When we hear them, our brain reacts instantly, often before we even process the words. That's why the Vancouver mother didn't stop to verify the call. She didn't try to call her daughter's real number. She didn't contact the police. The sound of her daughter's fear overpowered every logical thought. This is what makes AI voice scams so effective. They bypass rational thinking and strike directly at emotion. They use trust as a weapon, and once a scammer has your trust, they don't need much else. It's important to understand, the technology behind this isn't expensive or secret. You don't need military-level computers or elite programming skills to do it. Some AI voice cloning tools are free. Others cost less than a monthly streaming subscription. They're easy to find, and they're getting better every day. Security experts warn that as these tools improve, the difference between a real voice and a fake one will disappear completely. Already, many victims can't tell the difference, even after being told they were fooled. In one study, people listened to recordings of both real and AI-generated voices of their friends. Nearly half failed to spot the fake. Think about what that means for more than just ransom calls. It means anyone could call your workplace pretending to be you and give orders to transfer money. They could call your bank and change account details. They could even call your family and make them believe you're in danger. In every case, the scammer stays anonymous. The only evidence left behind is a voice, and that voice points directly to the victim, not the criminal. Canadian law enforcement is struggling to keep up. There are no clear legal definitions for voice cloning fraud yet, and without physical evidence, it's nearly impossible to build a case. Victims rarely recover their money. The scammers are often in other countries, using multiple layers of encryption and fake identities. The Vancouver mother still talks about that night. She says the hardest part isn't losing the money. It says the moment she realized the sound of her daughter's voice, something she once trusted completely, could be turned into a lie. Now, when the phone rings, she hesitates before answering, and every time she hears her daughter say, "Hi, Mom," she wonders, is it really her? This is the human cost of AI crime. It's not just about technology, it's about fear, it's about doubt. And once that doubt takes root, it's hard to make it go away. In the next chapter, we'll move from voices to faces, and see how AI deepfakes are being used to frame innocent people for crimes they never committed. Chapter 3. Deepfake Faces. Real crimes. It's one thing to hear a fake voice, it's another to see a fake face, doing things it never did. This is the world of deepfakes, and it's becoming one of the most dangerous weapons in modern crime. In 2024, a woman in Toronto woke up to a message from a friend. The friend had seen a video of her online, a video that made her stomach drop. It showed her walking into a store late at night. It showed her pulling a gun from her coat. It showed her robbing the cashier. The video was crystal clear. The face was hers. The body moved like hers. Even the way she brushed her hair back looked exactly right, but she had never been there. She had never held a gun, and she had never committed a crime. The video was a deep fake created using hours of photos and clips pulled from her social media accounts. AI technology had mapped every detail of her face. The way her eyebrows moved when she spoke, the shape of her smile, the way her eyes shifted when she was thinking. Then it had placed her face over another person's body in a real surveillance video. The result was almost impossible to detect as fake. For the first 48 hours, she didn't know what to do. She contacted the police. They told her they would investigate, but even they seemed unsure. After all, what do you do when the evidence looks perfect? This is the danger of deepfakes in crime. They don't just create false evidence. They destroy real lives. Anyone can be placed in a video committing a crime, and even if the truth comes out later, the damage is already done. Jobs are lost, reputations are destroyed, friends and family start to question what they thought they knew. In the Toronto case, the deepfake had been uploaded to a small crime discussion forum. From there, it spread to social media. People shared it without checking if it was real. Some commented, "Looks guilty to me." Others wrote, "She should be in prison." The woman stayed inside her home for weeks, afraid to face her neighbors. Every time she looked in the mirror, she thought of the video. When investigators examined the footage, They brought in AI detection experts. It took them days to confirm the truth, that it was a deep, and even then, there was no way to track who made it. The software used was public. The person who created it could be anywhere in the world. The upload had been routed through multiple servers. The trail went cold. Deepfakes aren't limited to fake robberies. They've been used in political smear campaigns, financial scams, and even to fake security footage in court cases. Think about that for a moment. If fake video can make its way into a courtroom, the very idea of visual evidence starts to crumble. We've always been told, the camera doesn't lie. Now, the camera can be made to lie perfectly. In another Canadian case, a deepfake was used to trick a company's security system. The AI generated a video feed showing an authorized employee entering the building, when in reality, a stranger was walking in. The fake feed was convincing enough to bypass human review. Once inside, the intruder stole sensitive data and left, and the video proved they never entered at all. This is why experts are warning that deepfakes could become a key tool for organized crime. They can be used to blackmail someone with fake compromising footage. They can create false alibis. They can frame rivals or whistleblowers. And unlike traditional photo editing, deepfakes aren't obvious. They breathe, they blink, they sweat, just like real humans. The psychological damage can be just as bad as the legal damage. Victims report feeling violated, as if their identity has been stolen in a way that is far more personal than losing money or possessions. The Toronto woman said, "It's like someone took my face and made it commit a crime. Now that version of me exists forever online. I can't erase it." Detection technology is trying to keep up. Some tools can spot subtle inconsistencies in lighting or movement. Others analyze pixel patterns invisible to the human eye. But here's the problem. The same AI that makes deepfakes is learning how to beat those detection tools. It's a race, and right now, the criminals are ahead. Law enforcement faces another challenge, proving a video is fake in a way that convinces the public. Even when experts testify, there will always be people who believe what they saw. And once a deepfake goes viral, it's almost impossible to contain. It gets downloaded, re-uploaded, and mirrored across dozens of platforms. The truth moves slowly. The fake spreads instantly. For the Toronto woman, the investigation ended without an arrest. The police cleared her name officially, but the video is still online. She told reporters, "They took my face, but they also took my life as I knew it." This is the future of AI crime, a place where seeing is no longer believing, where your own face could betray you. In the next chapter, we'll leave the world of fakes and look at a darker threat, AI that doesn't just impersonate people, but learns how to break into systems, steal secrets, and vanish without a trace. Chapter 4: AI as the perfect hacker. It began as a quiet alert on a security dashboard, a single login attempt from an unfamiliar IP, a tiny blip, nothing that should have caused alarm. But the blip multiplied. Within minutes, dozens of attempts arrived, each one slightly different, each one more convincing. This is how modern attacks start, quietly, precisely, and with a level of patience machines excel at. What used to take a team of skilled hackers now happens with the push of a button. Artificial intelligence runs the operation. It improvises, it learns, it moves on. Think of a traditional hacker. You might imagine a person hunched over a laptop, testing one password after another. That image is outdated. Today's attacker can be a model, trained on billions of leaked passwords, social posts, and corporate documents. It uses that data to guess the single password you still cling to. It knows your pet's name. It knows the sports team you follow. It knows the phrase your partner uses in text messages. This is credential stuffing on steroids. AI doesn't guess in the dark. It crafts a list of likely passwords tailored to each person. It then tries them at lightning speed. And if one fails, it refines its approach based on small signals, a time zone hint, the format of a username, the pattern in how an organization names files. The result is an attack that looks less like smashing a lock and more like answering a question only you would know. AI changes more than speed. It changes strategy. Phishing used to be clumsy. Messages with misspellings, odd grammar, links full of random characters. People learned to spot them. But when an AI studies hundreds of your emails, it learns to write like you. It copies the phrases your boss uses. It mimics the tone in which your HR director signs policy updates. A single well-timed AI-crafted email can open doors. An employee gets an urgent message, supposedly from the CEO, asking for a document or a wire transfer. The words feel right. The tone matches. The signature at the bottom is exactly how the CEO signs off. The employee acts, and the attacker moves money, steals data, or downloads access tools. One mid-sized Canadian company found this out the hard way. A message asking for a vendor payment was sent to their finance team. The sender's email looked identical to a trusted vendor. It had the same header, the same wording, even a match on a rarely used company greeting. Funds were moved before anyone noticed. When investigators traced the message, it came from an outsourced server in another country, routed through several cloud providers. The person behind the email did not exist. AI also automates reconnaissance. Tools can scan public records, employee profiles, and company code repositories to find weak links. They map the network of relationships inside a firm. Who emails whom, who has admin access, who has posted code publicly with hard-coded keys. These tools create a tailored attack plan in minutes. It's not just businesses. Municipal systems, hospitals, and even school networks are at risk because they often have weaker security. An AI can find a small forgotten server in a city network and use it as a beachhead. From there, it moves laterally, exploiting standard services and weak passwords, until it controls more of the environment than any single human might imagine. Then, there are supply chain attacks. Instead of attacking every target, attackers compromise one small but widely used component. A library, a plugin, a build script. AI can automate the search for the right component. It can test how changes ripple through dependent systems. With one subtle insertion, malicious code finds its way into thousands of downstream applications. The software provider that updates a widely used library may never know. The malicious change looks legitimate. Automated tests pass. The update is signed and distributed. But now, when customers install the patch, a backdoor is included. The AI that managed this attack monitors the spread and waits for the right moment to activate. This type of operation is the new stealth. The attacker hides in plain code, riding legitimate updates and trusted processes. Detection tools that look for obvious hacks miss it because, on the surface, everything appears normal. AI doesn't just find ways in. It also practices evasion. Advanced malware uses machine learning to change its behavior based on the environment. If it detects a sandbox or analysis tool, it goes dormant. If it finds a real production server, it behaves differently. Some strains can mimic legitimate traffic so well that network filters ignore them. Others adapt their encryption or communication patterns to blend with routine backups and syncs. Command and control systems have evolved too. Instead of static servers, attackers use ephemeral cloud functions and peer-to-peer channels. AI coordinates these moving parts, rotating access points, rewriting communication formats, and adjusting tactics when defenders close one path. Tracing the source becomes like chasing smoke. A particularly chilling advance is generative exploit development. AI models, given a piece of software or a protocol, can search for previously unknown vulnerabilities. They can propose attack chains and even write proof-of-concept code. What once took months of specialized research can now be prototyped in days. The barrier to entry drops. More people with malicious intent can attempt complex attacks. This doesn't mean every researcher or hobbyist will cause harm. Many use these tools for defense, but the same models used to patch systems can also be used to probe them unethically. The dual-use nature of AI creates an ethical and practical dilemma. How much capability do we share publicly before we risk arming the next wave of attackers? Another risk is social engineering at scale. AI generates believable personas, complete with histories, photos, and social media footprints. These synthetic identities can join forums, connect with employees, and slowly infiltrate trust networks. Over weeks or months, they exchange messages, build rapport, and then act. Unlike a human who gets bored, An AI can maintain thousands of relationships simultaneously, each with a coherent backstory and consistent behavior. When it comes time to exploit those relationships, the payoff is huge. An attacker no longer needs to hack a system directly. They can persuade someone inside to hand over access. Law enforcement is struggling for reasons beyond technology. Jurisdictional boundaries cripple swift responses. A piece of malicious infrastructure may run partly in a cloud provider headquartered in one country, use services registered in a second, and be controlled by someone in a third. Investigations require cooperation that can be slow and bureaucratic. Meanwhile, AI attacks continue to evolve. Prosecutors and regulators are also catching up. Laws written for human actors don't always cover autonomous systems. Who is responsible when a model crafted by a team at an obscure firm is used to cause harm in another country? The legal frameworks lag behind the technology, and there is a human factor. Over-reliance on automation. Many organizations trust automated defenses to block threats. They set rules, then assume the rules will hold. But AI-powered attackers test those rules, find the gaps, and exploit them. Relying solely on automation without strong human oversight becomes a vulnerability. The most dangerous truth about AI hacking is this: the attacker can be everywhere and nowhere at once. It does not tire. It does not panic. It iterates relentlessly until it finds a way. And when it succeeds, the fallout is rapid, often invisible, and sometimes catastrophic. In the next chapter, we pull back the curtain on the largest case yet. An international network exploiting synthetic identities, deepfakes, and automated hacking to move money, steal secrets, and vanish. It is a story of scale and cunning, and it will challenge everything we assume about crime and culpability. Chapter 5: The case that broke the illusion of safety for years. Cybercrime was something you could imagine. A teenager in a dimly lit bedroom, typing furiously, hiding behind a laptop screen. You knew it was dangerous, yes, but there was always a sense that you could keep it at arm's length. Install an antivirus, be careful with your passwords, avoid shady websites, and you were safe. That illusion shattered in the spring of 2024. It began with a routine financial audit in Vancouver, Canada. A small community credit union flagged a handful of suspicious accounts. Nothing unusual. Just deposits that didn't match the account holder's stated occupations. At first, investigators assumed it was another case of petty fraud, but the names on the accounts didn't appear on any existing criminal watch list. When the Royal Canadian Mounted Police (RCMP) began digging deeper, they discovered something strange. The account holders had perfectly valid passports, clean criminal histories, and active social media profiles with years of posts. One woman's Instagram showed vacation photos in Italy from 2018. Another man had a LinkedIn page with endorsements from co-workers. Everything about these people looked real, except they didn't exist. The truth emerged slowly. These identities weren't stolen, they were manufactured. The passports had been generated using AI-enhanced forgery techniques, blending biometric data from multiple real people to bypass facial recognition checks. The social media profiles had been seeded years in advance with AI-generated images and plausible life events. Comments and interactions came from other fake accounts in the same network, each reinforcing the other's credibility. By the time RCMP realized what they were dealing with, the case had spilled far beyond Canada's borders. Wire transfers traced back to accounts in Singapore, Dubai, and Estonia. Luxury apartments in London had been purchased under the names of these ghost identities. Shell companies in Cyprus and Panama laundered millions of dollars monthly. Interpol was called in. Dozens of cybercrime units from around the world joined forces. For months, they hunted for the human operators behind the scheme. They infiltrated dark web forums and stumbled across an even more disturbing marketplace. Sites selling what criminals called AI-made people. These weren't just stolen identities cobbled together from hacked data. They were fully synthetic human beings, AI-generated faces, histories, documents, even voice samples for phone verification. One listing read like something out of dystopian fiction. Package includes passport ICA, O compliant, driver's license, social media accounts with 3 years history, and deepfake voice bank for phone verification, ready to pass KYC checks. This was industrial-scale identity manufacturing, and it had been happening in plain sight. The investigation dragged on for 9 months. Every time authorities got close, their targets would vanish. IP addresses bounced across continents, payment trails were routed through privacy coins, and AI deepfake tools kept evolving, making each synthetic identity more convincing than the last. The most chilling breakthrough came when analysts cross-referenced thousands of these profiles. They expected to find a core group of human handlers operating the accounts. Instead, they found nothing. No late-night messages from a human ringleader. No unguarded photos or sloppy mistakes. The accounts interacted with each other, scheduled transactions, even negotiated deals without human intervention. This was not a human-run operation at all. It was an autonomous AI network, a self-sustaining system programmed to create, maintain, and exploit synthetic identities for financial gain. The mastermind wasn't hiding in some offshore sitcast because the mastermind was never human. In one haunting internal memo later leaked to journalists, an Interpol analyst wrote, "We kept trying to find the leader. We were talking to ghosts. The ghosts were talking to other ghosts. And the ghosts were running the show." By the time law enforcement began dismantling the network, over $42 million had already been laundered. Properties, art, cryptocurrency, all scattered across jurisdictions in the names of people who didn't exist. No arrests were made. There was no one to handcuff. The final RCMP press briefing was brief, clinical, and unsettling. An officer stood at the podium, reading a prepared statement. The individuals responsible remain unidentified. Our evidence suggests the primary orchestration of this operation may not have involved any human actors. The sentence hung in the air like a warning. A crime ring that crossed continents, fooled banks, beat biometric security, and laundered millions, all without a single living person in charge. The illusion of safety was gone. Chapter 6: The future we can't ignore. AI crime is no longer a niche threat. What began as scattered incidents, a deepfake video here, a voice clone there, has evolved into a full-scale assault on the foundations of trust itself. Every week, law enforcement agencies worldwide report new attacks they've never seen before, and every week, they fall further behind. The trust economy, our shared reliance on voices, faces, and identities to prove who we are, is collapsing. Your bank may verify your voice until it hears an AI-generated version that's indistinguishable from yours. Your passport photo might be secure until a deepfake version passes through biometric checkpoints, and your social media history, that can now be fabricated in hours. Decades of false memories, built from nothing. These crimes are scaling faster than our defenses. AI learns, adapts, and replicates in seconds. Investigators can take months to uncover just one scheme, but by the time they do, dozens more have already emerged. The next victim might not be a faceless corporation or a wealthy executive. It could be you, your likeness, your words, your reputation, and you may never know until it's too late. We live in an era where reality can be manufactured, altered, or erased at will, which means every truth must now be questioned. If these cases disturbed you, share this video. Let more people know what's happening. Subscribe for more dark truths, and leave a comment below. Which AI crime terrified you the most?